Hello, everybody. So I broke my microphone, therefore I'm gonna make a very short video because the sound's probably not very good right now. Microphone broken. Anyways, let's talk about, of course, Michael Saylor. Let's talk about Bitcoin. He tweeted. He tweeted, of course, hinting at tomorrow's buy. Big week. So it's been a big week. New dots are gonna be added tomorrow. And the market, of course, for crypto is very volatile, just very, very bad right now. What do I expect for tomorrow's buy? So as I've said a few times in my videos this past week, I expect at least $715 million of Bitcoin buy from the STRE IPO, the stretch IPO over there in Europe. I expect probably about 50 million from the stretch preferred. If you look, for 4 days and a half, stretch did not skip a beat, trading like a stable coin as it is intended to do. And so that worked really, really well until on Thursday afternoon, we started to have what, in my view, is liquidity problems in the market. And that's when everything crashed Thursday afternoon and Friday. These were pretty darn awful days. Because I think we have problems in the plumbing of the financial market. We have liquidity problems from the fact that the government was shut down and federal contractors weren't paid and millions of people did not get their second paycheck, draining liquidity from the banks. That's my thesis. So unfortunately, perhaps not quite 100 million on stretch just yet, probably 50 million. The other preferreds, so there's 3 of them, 3 other preferreds, count 10 million each. So, roughly almost 800 million. And the key question is, did he buy under 100K? I think he did, because the money for stretch was settling on Thursday. So I think he bought under 100K, which will look as a very, very positive. And of course, under the hood, strategy is growing its Bitcoin bag. It's all about Bitcoin per share growth, sats per share growth, and that will be a very accretive week for strategy. This week will have been very accretive. I can't wait to see how much he actually bought on Monday, especially for the stretch preferred, because we'll be able to extrapolate, 4.5 days of like perfection of really, really stretch working, 3.5 days, sorry, we'll be able to extrapolate that and see how much he can really raise over the save next year with stretch. So I think that's going to be a big deal. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is what is happening to Bitcoin. It's not doing well. It's not doing well. We are now bouncing back. Bitcoin is down 17% ever since, I think, the liquidity issues started, or at least the market started realizing liquidity issues. So late October, early November. So Bitcoin down 17%, strategy down 32%. But I want to point out that this sell-off is impacted. It has impacted all growthy parts of the market. Only the indices have not been impacted. If you look at all of the hyper-growth stocks, some of them which I own, others which I don't own, they've been impacted just as bad. Look at CoreWeave, for example. CoreWeave dropped 44% from October 29 to November 14, right? So that's a pretty insane drop for one of the darlings of AI. Nebius, same story, 36% over roughly the same period. HIMS is a stock I follow on this channel. Absolutely outstanding earnings. They stunned every person following the company was stunned by those earnings. Like they surprised to the upside over there at HIMS. It was pretty darn impressive. And it's down 41%, so down more than strategy. I could have other examples, like, if you look at Riot, or if you look at CleanSpark, CleanSpark had done a very successful capital raise. CleanSpark dropped something like almost 50%. So small, high growth cap stocks dropped as much as crypto dropped, and as much, well, I guess not as much, even more than, say, strategy, our favorite stock. So that's why I think there is a liquidity problem in the system. They don't impact the indices because the indices have passive flows. So you don't see this in the S&P 500. You don't see this in the Dow, but you see it at the edge of the market in these growthier plays. And so I feel like a lot of people are selling positions that are not core because they have liquidity problems, and that would be the banks, that would be the hedge fund divisions at those banks. Those banks have big hedge funds divisions. I think they're selling off. And I'm not the only one thinking that. If you look at Raoul Pal, of course, a famed crypto analyst. He's talking about issues in the plumbing system and why the banks are not using the Fed's facility to deal with the plumbing issues. There's a fight going on between Scott Bessent and the Fed right now. Issues with the bonds. So to me, this is not sentiment driven. This is not retail driven. To me, a lot of this is actually driven by problems in liquidity. And so that's why it's so crucial that we get a rate cut. It's so crucial that we get some positivity from any of the board Fed members going forward. And the problem is still the same problem that we've had for the past 3 years, which is Powell at the Fed. He is the problem. Like the rates should have dropped a long time ago. I've been saying this on this channel for they should have dropped a very, very long time ago. It's all a bluff to keep the rates this high. It's all a bluff. And to me, this ends in May of 2026. In May of 2026, everything gets resolved when we get a new Fed chair. That is my take on this. And in the meantime, the pain will continue. And you know, I hope it gets better. I hope we get dovish takes from any Fed members this week. Hopefully, the Nvidia earnings on Wednesday are also very good and kind of like make the market bounce back. But in the meantime, we're going to be trading fear. It's kind of what I feel here. So this is why the rules remain the same. No leverage, spot equity, right? Equity, no leverage, no duration. You know, options expiring at the end of November or options even expiring in December, not a good idea in my view. In my view, this is a spot market paradise, and Bitcoin at the edge, of course, is still being manipulated. So we saw Bitcoin dip under 94,000, and right now, as I speak, it's bouncing right back. And if you follow, like, for example, Marty Party and the liquidation lines, it's all about, you know, Hyperliquid and Binance and Wintermute and all these platforms manipulating around support. But keep in mind, there's, I mean, if you look at the whole thing, there's tens of billions of dollars of shorts that need to be liquidated to the upside. So if Bitcoin goes back up, if we get some very good news, I don't know, from a Fed member somewhere or some sort of very good news, Bitcoin could have explosive growth to the upside. And you know, I guess this is a very hopeful take, but remember, we had an all-time high in early October, right? And nobody expected it. So Bitcoin can pounce up very, very hard at a moment's notice and liquidate the shorts. But right now, unfortunately, it's the longs who are getting liquidated. Because those paychecks need to hit the banks, and we need to see on Monday. And remember, the government reopening, the paychecks are hitting today, but you know, the banks are closed today, but they're hitting on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday is when I'm hoping the liquidity will improve, and we'll see if that happens or not. But you know, right now we are once again being controlled by the macro. Oh, and one final take. And you know, I will say this is, I think Bitwise is saying that, and a few other big players in crypto is saying that we may have never been in a bull market. We may have actually been in a bear market this whole time, and that a bull market may also begin. A very interesting take, kind of like rethinking from first principles. I mean, it's true that the Bitcoin price never really moved much ever since the election of 2024. And so could we have been into a bear market until now and until maybe next year? And could the bull market start sometime in 2026? That also is a very interesting take. Over the long run, I have no doubt about Bitcoin. Over the long run, I have no doubt about strategy and how this company is structured. Over the short run, I have to be humble and tell you, I have no idea. I have no idea what's going to happen over the short run. But I just like I didn't count on an October, I wouldn't count on a Moonvember or any of these type of viral statements. I wouldn't count on it. You know, Bitcoin is hard. It's hard money. Over the very long run, it is going up. It is all a bluff. Fiat is a bluff. Buying fiat, if you sell crypto, that means you buy fiat. Buying fiat is not a good idea. I believe in AI, and I believe in Bitcoin much more than I believe in fiat. And I believe in innovation much more than I believe in fiat. Buying fiat right now when you sell off everything, everybody's selling off everything, buying fiat. And what do? You own fiat. So you think the government is going to be virtuous all of a sudden. All of a sudden, all of our issues are going to be resolved and the dollar is going to stop its endless expansion. The denominator of everything is going to be, somehow virtuous going forward. I think eventually the currency is going to zero. Eventually, Bitcoin has no top because fiat has no bottom. That is my take on there. So anyways, this was not investment advice. This is not financial advice. This is just entertainment. Hopefully I can fix my microphone for the next video. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful, wonderful day.